Have you ever felt like you're stuck in a loop, living the same day over and over again? That was my life. Wake up, drag myself to a job I didn't love, come home, stare at a screen, and then repeat. I was coasting, just another face in the crowd, convinced that this was all there was. I thought my story was already written, and frankly, it was a pretty boring book. But what if I told you that you could get a second chance? Not in some mystical sci-fi way, but right here, right now. This is the story of how I found my second life, and how you can too. It all started on a completely ordinary Tuesday. I was sitting in my cubicle staring at a spreadsheet, and a thought hit me like a lightning bolt. Is this it? The question echoed in the silence of my mind. I was 25, supposedly in the prime of my life, but I felt ancient, worn out by a routine that offered security but zero passion. That night I went home, and instead of turning on the TV, I just sat in silence. I let myself feel all the dissatisfaction, the boredom, the quiet desperation. It was uncomfortable, but it was necessary. That was the moment my old life started to die. The first step was admitting I was lost. It's a hard thing to do. We're taught to have a 5-year plan, to have it all figured out, but I didn't. So I started small. I bought a cheap notebook, and on the first page I wrote, "What makes me feel alive?" I didn't have an answer right away. For days that page was blank. It was terrifying. It felt like I was a stranger to myself. So I started experimenting. I tried a free online coding class. Hated it. I tried baking sourdough bread. My kitchen looked like a disaster zone. I went for a hike, something I hadn't done since I was a kid. And that's when a little spark ignited. Out there, on a muddy trail, with the sky wide open above me, I felt a sense of freedom I hadn't experienced in years. It wasn't some huge, life-altering epiphany. It was just a feeling, a quiet sense of, yes, this is good. So I did it again the next weekend, and the weekend after that. I started taking pictures on my phone of things I saw on my hikes, a weird-looking mushroom, the way the light filtered through the leaves, a deer that crossed my path. I wasn't trying to be a photographer, I was just capturing moments that made me feel something. I started sharing these photos online with no expectations. To my surprise, people responded. They left comments, not just nice pic, but things like, "This reminds me of my childhood," or "I needed to see this today." A small community started to form around these simple photos. It was bizarre. Me, the guy who felt invisible, was suddenly connecting with people from all over the world through a shared appreciation for a simple moment. This little hobby started to bleed into the rest of my life. I found myself paying more attention to the world around me, even on my commute. I noticed the street art, the way the seasons changed, the little interactions between strangers. The world went from black and white to color. This new perspective gave me the courage to make bigger changes. My job, the one that paid the bills but drained my soul, was the next big hurdle. Quitting without a plan was not an option for me, so I made a deal with myself. I would spend 1 hour every single day working towards something new. I didn't know what that something was yet, but I dedicated the time. I started learning about digital marketing, graphic design, and video editing through free online resources. I treated it like a second job, but one that I was actually excited about. The more I learned, the more I realized I loved the creative process, the act of building something from nothing. My hiking photos and my newfound digital skills started to merge. I bought a used drone and started capturing aerial footage of the landscapes I explored. I learned how to edit these clips into short videos, adding music that matched the mood. The first video I posted was terrible, honestly. The cuts were jarring, the color was off, but it was mine. I had made it, and with each new video, I got a little better. I was no longer just consuming content, I was creating it. I was telling stories. After about a year of this double life, corporate drone by day, aspiring creator by night, I had a small portfolio and a growing freelance client list. I was designing logos for small businesses, editing short promotional videos, and managing social media for a local cafe. The income was nowhere near my corporate salary, but it was real. It was money I had earned on my own terms, doing something I loved. The fear was still there, a constant hum in the background. But for the first time, my excitement was louder than my fear. The day I handed in my notice was one of the most surreal days of my life. My boss was shocked. "But you're on the management track," he said. And I just smiled and said, "I'm on a different track now." Walking out of that office building for the last time felt like taking my first breath of fresh air after being underwater for too long. My second life had officially begun. Now I want to be clear. It wasn't all sunshine and scenic drone shots. The first 6 months of being fully self-employed were tough. There were days I barely made enough to cover my rent. I had moments of panic where I thought I'd made a huge mistake. The temptation to go back to the safety of a steady paycheck was immense. During those times, I'd look at that first page in my notebook, what makes me feel alive? And I would go for a hike or edit a new video or just talk to the community I'd built online. I had to constantly remind myself of my why. Slowly but surely, things started to click. My client base grew through word of mouth. My YouTube channel, the one that started with clumsy phone pictures, began to gain traction. I wasn't just posting pretty videos anymore, I was sharing my story. I talked about feeling lost, about the fear of change, about the small steps I took, and that's what resonated with people. The vulnerability. People weren't just subscribing for the landscapes, they were subscribing for the journey. Today my life looks nothing like it did a few years ago. I still wake up and go to work, but my office is wherever my laptop is. Some days it's a coffee shop, some days it's a tent overlooking a mountain range. I built a life not from a blueprint someone else gave me, but from scratch, piece by piece, based on what truly mattered to me. I didn't magically become a new person. I'm still the same guy, but I'm the most authentic version of him. I stopped performing and started living. So what's the secret to finding your second life? It's not about a grand gesture. It's about 1,000 small steps. It's about asking yourself tough questions. It's about trying things and not being afraid to fail. It's about finding that one small thing that makes you feel alive and nurturing it. Maybe for you it's not hiking. Maybe it's painting, writing, volunteering, learning a new language, or starting a community garden. The what doesn't matter as much as the why. If you're feeling stuck right now, like I was, please know that you are not alone, and it is never too late to rewrite your story. Your past does not have to be your prologue. You can start today. Grab a notebook. Ask yourself, what makes me feel alive? Don't pressure yourself for an answer. Just create the space for one to appear. Try something new this week, no matter how small. Take a different route home from work. Talk to a stranger. Go to that class you've been thinking about. Just do one thing differently. That's how a second life begins. Not with a bang, but with a whisper. Thank you so much for listening to my story. It's a story I'm still writing every single day, and I'm so grateful I get to share it with you. If this resonated with you, I'd love it if you'd subscribe and join our community. We're all just trying to figure it out, and it's a lot better when we do it together. See you in the next one.